Hi, I'm Tab Schott, CEO of DoubleHorn. Today I'm joined by Amber Gunst, CEO of Austin Technology Council. How are you, Amber?
I'm doing well, Tab. Thank you for having me here
Thanks
today.
for joining us.
Of course.
Before we dive into ATC, leadership, strategy, Austin type questions, tell us about yourself and how you ended up in the current role.
Well, I moved to Austin in 2009, so I'm part of the 150 people who move here every day. And I came down from Michigan at the height of the economic recession and had the great opportunity of going to work for the Austin Chamber of Commerce and was there for about 4 years and ended up going out into technical staffing, knowing that technology was an area I wanted to be in, and what better way to get involved than to help people find jobs.
Right.
And this opportunity came up to come work for ATC, and I jumped at the chance to work with Barbara Brunner, who's our former CEO, and help her redesign and redevelop what our membership looks like. So it was a great opportunity to come in and be part of that. She took off and left us in May for a great opportunity to become the Chief Marketing Officer for Funware, which is one of our member companies. And I stepped into the role as interim CEO at the time, and working with the board and bringing on a new team. It's been a really exciting adventure ever since.
That is exciting. So unexpected but phenomenal role.
Well, we had a talk in March about doing some succession planning for the next 18 months to 2 years as she was looking at advancing her career.
Yeah.
It just was 2 months instead of 2 years.
Well, good for her.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity for her.
So tell us about ATC.
So we have been around since 1992, and I can remember that because that was the year I graduated from high school.
Wow.
And so we started off as the Austin Software Council out of UTI from the UT Austin campus, and we were founded by Laura Kilcrease and Pike Powers. As you know, hardware was king at the time in Austin, and software was just getting started. In the early 2000s, when the tech bust hit, we changed and rebranded to Austin Technology Council to encompass the entire technology community in Austin and provide assistance and help to hardware companies as well who were going through the greatest struggle. And since then we've had a lot of different iterations, but nowadays we are focused on our BHAG 100%.
So let's talk about, because a lot of it's around growth. I have a lot of questions around growth, but what is a member profile? I mean, is it any type of company that has these requirements, or talk to us about when you're engaging with folks, when you see a partner or excuse me, a member, and you go, they're really going to benefit from it.
Yeah, and that's a great question, because that's what we do all day long. So our typical member, so 65% of our membership has revenue between 2 million and 120 million.
Okay.
And the reason, it sounds like a really large spread, but the reason is that 2 million in revenue, you're really starting to get beyond that really early stage. Okay. And you've got some customers, you've got some growth, you've got a lot of employees. You've got a lot of help that you need.
Yes.
And 120 million, once you get past that, you're now looking at large events, such as being purchased by private equity, or having a large private equity investment, or you're looking at potentially going into an IPO situation, or you're looking at other different pivots within there. So really that 2 million to 120 million is where we put 65% of our programming is all done within that. And we focus on the 5 areas of disciplines for companies in their growth. So executive leadership, obviously, operations and finance, we have engineering and product development, sales and marketing, and of course HR and recruiting, because that's a very important aspect.
And I'm going to come back to that one in a minute.
Yeah.
The staffing and the competitive nature in Austin right now is just over the top.
It is.
It's just crazy. Talk to, before we get into growth, a little bit about the struggles. What's the challenge that ATC has right now? And clearly one of the hottest markets in the country, and has been for quite some time.
Yeah, I think the biggest struggle that we have at ATC is there's so much talk about 2 guys in a co-working desk startups, and there's a lot of focus outside of Austin that Austin's this scrappy little startup town. And so I think one of our biggest struggles is trying to get the outside area to see us as an established, growing, booming, scaling technology community that is hiring, that is developing really great technology that we're selling all over the world.
And you honestly, to this particular point, that's crazy because I'm sitting in the middle of it and have been for over a decade. But there's still surrounding markets, kind of these big brother markets that think that about Austin?
I think when we look in Texas, no.
Right.
But when we look at the East Coast and the West
Yeah.
Coast, we're lacking advanced funding in Austin. And the reason we're lacking advanced funding in Austin is because people think we're seed stage and A-round startups,
Right.
as opposed to large capital companies that are dealing with $50 million in revenue and above. And that's a problem.
Yeah,
So one of the focuses that I have is to start having discussions about established companies. And established companies could be 3-year-old companies who have 10 or more employees and are dealing with a couple $1 million in revenue, all the way up to SailPoint.
Yeah.
Or Google.
Yep.
And it's how do we tell the story of these companies that are doing these great things, having these great products that are already built, they're already post-revenue, they already have clients, and that's the story that's not really being told.
Yeah. So at these events that you guys host and as you drive the growth in the membership activity, is that what success is defined by when you see an actual transaction or you see a merger or you just see advice provided to a peer that allows them to grow? I mean, after an event, what are the success stories that you hear? What would be an example of, I'm really glad that I showed up to that?
There are so many. We had a discussion in January on how to outsource your software development and secure your IP at the same time.
Yeah.
We had a company tell us afterwards that they were looking to go into using an outsourcing company in the Ukraine, but they had learned at the dinner that if you use an outsourcing company in the Ukraine, if they write even a small little bit of your code, they have an ownership stake in your company, and you have to go through them in order to sell it.
Wow.
And this particular company did not know that. And of course, no one in the Ukraine was telling them this.
Right.
So that was an educational aspect. We had, a dinner this past summer about healthcare and technology and how they're converging together. And we had a lot of people come out to that who were looking at how to use health tech within their businesses that we're focused on that. We've had mentoring programs. We do a roundtable series for 3 different areas. So we do women in tech, we do a sales tech roundtable, which is really about building better and stronger sales teams. And we have the same for an engineering and product leadership roundtable. We did that this week, and we talked about hiring and where are the problems. And so instead of talking to the choir, which is the HR and recruiting teams, we talked to the problem, which is the engineering teams.
Yeah.
They're writing unrealistic job descriptions for that. They're trying to replace Dave instead of trying to find a Java developer. And so we talked to them and they said, well, what's the one thing that we need to stop doing? And I said, your companies need to stop using bots to review resumes. Because as great as machine learning is, and as much as it makes our personal lives and our professional lives easier, it does not do a good job reading resumes, and it gets people booted out that you probably want to take a look at.
Yeah. So let's stay on that then. This is we kind of dovetailed into the human capital piece, but I know for us, one of the biggest challenges that we have is as we change our model or adjust or pivot from time to time, which is, you and I were speaking earlier, is almost, it's not an F, it's just a win, if you're around long enough. The human capital piece, the staffing piece, and staffing just really doesn't do it justice. It's capital to the company. I mean, it's the human capital is the most valuable part. It is tough in Austin right now to get the folks. So how do you guys help with that? I mean, how do you that kind of talent pipeline?
Well, and that's a big thing. So we actually gain a lot of attraction from people that are outside of the area looking to move in.
Okay.
And we have a job board on our website that our member companies can use to promote jobs out there. We also are very selective about the technology staffing companies that we have as members, and we try to help them connect with those companies. So one of our longest standing technology staffing company members is Luna Data Solutions. And Dana Jones has been an active member of our organization, and she's a woman-owned tech business that got her start during the tech bust, and she has been doing this for a long time. We have other groups that do a great job for us as well. Indeed's a member, and they've got a great program that they're using. But it's, for us, it's really just getting them to have conversations about what are the actual problems problems you're dealing with.
Yeah.
And, we're in the process of launching an HR and recruiting roundtable for 2019. And I'm specifically bringing together similar sized companies who are hiring the same types of people to help us craft what that discussion needs to look like.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, because they're
If everybody has similar problems, talk about them in a collaborative fashion.
Yeah, we're robbing Peter to pay Paul in the talent. And it's
Right.
not just in the engineering fields, it's in the sales fields, it's in the marketing fields, it's with our executives, it's all across the
You'll
board.
probably have people that show up that worked with one of the people at the round table.
I've been with ATC since June of 2017, and I'm telling you, it's happened quite a few times.
I bet it has. I want to switch to policy a little bit.
Okay.
What's the involvement or the impact or influence, whatever the appropriate word may be, that you
Mm-hmm.
guys have when it comes to policy?
For years we had a pretty active public policy division, but tech doesn't really get super focused on public policy. They want to see more about how can we grow, how can we expand, what can we do. So when we look at public policy, we're looking specifically at what is going to have the greatest effect on tech. So last year at our CEO Summit, we had Tina Cannon-Greider come out from the Austin Chamber to talk about Leslie Poole wanting to roll back the domain incentives 10 years early.
Yeah.
And those are tax incentives that the voters voted on to approve. And she wanted to roll them back so that we could get a greater tax base out of the domain, which was going to stop a lot of the technical advancement and improvements and growth in the domain area.
Right.
We had 150 CEOs out there that day, and as soon as we told them that they all got the email sent to them to notify the city council, to notify the mayor's office, to notify everybody that they didn't want this to happen, you saw 150 heads go down, look at their phones, and fill this form out and send it out. So we know what they're passionate about. We're focused on what they're passionate about. The next thing we're going to wade into is the 5G networks.
Oh, okay.
Because that's not being held up by the city of Austin. That's not being held up by the city council. It's being held up by the permitting system for the city of Austin.
Interesting.
So that's our big focus right now. That's something we're taking a look at. But we're a small organization, so we want to be very strategic about what we go into. We want to make sure that the policy we're supporting supports tech companies and that we're partnering with our local community organizations such as the Austin Chamber of Commerce in making sure that we all stand together to get these things done.
What's the organization look like, ATC? Obviously as interim CEO, kind of just talk, what are some of the roles and the staff work? What does it look like?
Yeah, so we have a whole new team, and that happens sometimes. So we
Literally
have
the org's new, or the people
the
themselves?
people are new.
Okay.
So when I came in, really I've had a 20-year career in sales and business development, so I look at everything from what are we doing from a sales perspective.
Yeah.
And so we brought in a sales manager, we brought in a new member salesperson, we have a sales intern right now who's focused on retention, and we're training him on how to do retention for members. We have we've got someone that's handling our marketing for us. We have a marketing intern. And then I have the greatest director of operations anyone could ever ask for, who just makes my life and my day so much easier. But we're really fortunate that we have a strong board of directors who are always willing to step in and help and support our team as much as they possibly can.
Is the board of directors comprised of actually member companies? Is that the way that works?
Yes, you cannot be on our board if you are not a member of our organization.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's the strategy for growth? And can you share maybe a couple, what are the metrics of growth? Is it number of members, retention rate, all of the above?
All of the above.
More
in
events?
every Well, more events, we want to be cautious about doing that. We don't want to be known as the people who put on 150 events a year.
The value of the ones you have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our programs are all value-based programming, meaning that you are going to be able to walk away from them and apply something to your business. If we start doing 100 to 150 of those a year, all of a sudden people stop coming.
Yeah.
Because, and really, how much value are you providing doing the same thing over and over? So we're going to be cautious about how quickly we grow that. Programs like our mentor group that we're going to be launching again, actually, the email will be going out for a call for mentors. Okay. And it's going to be a 12-week program that we're putting together. Our scaling series that we're launching, which is to help early post-revenue, early post-significant funded companies get through those hurdles when they don't really have a lot of advisors and a lot of helpers to get them past maybe those first couple of years. So that's an 8-week curriculum-based course that we've designed with the Rice Alliance and with David Altunian at St. Edward's University. So we're very proud about that, and we're excited to launch that in 2019. As for the growth of membership, there are over 4,000 revenue-generating technology companies in the Austin market. So the sky is the limit where that comes into play. However, growing too fast and not having the resources to be able to sustain and support the membership that we're bringing on board is not something we're looking to do. I like the steady growth aspect. So let's grow it at a base that we are actually always providing value to our members, and that they understand how to take advantage of that value for themselves.
How many members today?
So we have about 250 member companies. The last time I did a count, I think we were about 237, but we're adding members almost every single day. So,
right now, how does a company go about joining?
Well, right now they can come to our website and they can request information about joining our organization. We're going to get ready to launch a page on our website specifically for technology companies that have 10 or fewer employees who can join automatically from our website.
Oh, fantastic.
But with larger companies, we want to have a conversation with them about it. We want them to have a good understanding of what it is we do and make sure that we're engaging their full team. Yeah. So when you've got fewer than 10 employees, that's easy to do. When you have more than 10 employees, it's a little bit more difficult to do. So we want to make sure that we've got enough buy-in and people understand how they can take advantage. And what I always tell people, and I told them this at the chamber and I tell them this now with ATC, there are two things you need, and one of them is more important than the other one. The first, which is a little less important, is you need to feel comfortable with the financial investment you're putting in. Yeah. But time is more expensive than money, and if you don't have the ability to share blog content on our blog post section, if you don't have the time to come to one event per year, if you don't have time to share a job on our job board or put one of your events on our event calendar, you're just not going to get a benefit out of our organization. No, and I'd rather have companies look at this and say, you know what, we just don't have the time to put any time investment into ATC, so right now is not the right time for us to join. I'd rather have them say that and come to us when they do, where they can have a great experience. As opposed to, well, I feel pressured into doing this because 3 people told me I should, and then I got nothing out of it. So.
Well, good. Well, thanks. That's
Thank
all
you.
Great information. Thank you for being here today.
Well, and thank you for having me. It was such a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you for joining our DoubleHorn C-Level Chat. We look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.